Have you ever stood in front of something that you really wanted, but you truly didn't need? It may have been something like a new phone or a new pair of shoes, or maybe one more click on your shopping cart. And maybe there was a voice telling you, this is not a great idea. But maybe there's another one saying like, just go for it. Well, you are not alone. You are in great company. You are with your brain. Welcome to TAOL Podcast, a podcast that will help you align your core values with your long-term goals and your daily decisions. I'm your host, Gabo, and today we are diving into the big question of why I can't save money. Why do I keep sabotaging my finances? Well, it turns out that there are ancient systems that they have always been with us for a really long time. These systems crave reward. They are kind of averse. They reject losses. And they are basically managed by our emotions. But they are always with us all the time. And to be honest, they don't really care about your finances. And the good news is that once you understand how the systems work, for example, how dopamine, stress, and control over your emotions can help you, well, you are going to be in a better position and move from autopilot to acting intentionally. In today's episode, we are going to explore what happens in your brain every time you tap or swipe your credit card, or when you ignore your budget, or when you make bad financial decisions. And by the end, we will have a different perspective on how this operates to start creating an effective strategy. So let's talk about one of the most important, but also very misunderstood chemical in our brains. It is called dopamine. You probably heard about dopamine as a pleasure chemical. But pleasure and dopamine are not necessarily the same or that correlated. Dopamine is not about pleasure. Dopamine is actually chasing pleasure. And once you get there, once you get what you want, dopamine is going to drop. Let's say that dopamine is more about anticipation. It's telling you, you know what, maybe there is a reward. Let's go for it. Or when you see a banner of your favorite store, or maybe an offer online, or even checking your financial statements, that's dopamine triggering. So dopamine is actually pushing you to the possibility. It's telling you there's a chance there's a reward, right? It's trying to get you closer to that feeling of reward. And in ancient times, dopamine was pushing people to find shelter, to find food. And what was the reward? Well, it was a larger possibility of survival. Nowadays, it's different. Even though we still live and interact with dopamine all the time, the reward is different. And now we are bombarded with ads on social media, with promotions, with sales. I'm recording this during Memorial Day weekend, and it's crazy. All the offers that you see out there pushing you to get a discount, get a code to buy 2 and get 3. It's insane. Let's use a more specific example. Let's assume that you are scrolling down on one of your favorite social media platforms, and then you see someone wearing a jacket that you think is really nice. Well, dopamine is going to tell you, maybe we're going to look really good on this jacket. So let's explore and maybe try to find a promo. Let's try to buy it. Dopamine is pushing you to find that reward because you kind of see yourself wearing the jacket and impressing your friends and maybe your date. Dopamine is telling you, go for it. And when you finally click on or you finally tap your credit card, that dopamine is going to drop and keep dropping. In other words, dopamine is gonna spike before you buy something. And once you buy it, it's gone. Well, maybe not gone, but it's gonna start dropping significantly. And this is why some of our financial decisions are not the best. Why? Because we are constantly chasing short-term gratification instead of a long-term goal. And trust me, this is not a lack of willpower. This is pure biology. So what can we do about it? The answer, my friends, starts with awareness. And once we are aware, well, we can create strategies. In the same way that your actions support your brain is going to support your actions. We just got to find how they connect. And that's what we are going to explore today. But first, let's talk about what happens when we are taken by our emotions. Let's say that you are stressed or maybe very hungry, anxious, maybe depressed, and how these emotions are going to start affecting your financial decisions. Let's talk about 2 main characters now. let's focus on one, the prefrontal cortex, and two, the limbic system. Think about him like one being a very wise and excellent investor, a planner, and the other one is, let's say, a little bit dramatic. So the prefrontal cortex is right behind your forehead, and this one is in charge of planning, of long-term goals. This is the one that is going to say, let's take a pause. And instead of wasting my money, let me just save a little bit. And I'm going to put it on a different account. That's your prefrontal cortex. That's the one telling you, we have goals. We got to go in that direction. But also, there's your limbic system, the emotional one, the one that says YOLO. This limbic system includes the amygdala, which is going to be processing fear, is going to be processing other type of emotions like reward. And the hippocampus. The hippocampus is going to store some of your emotional memories. The limbic system is more about the right now. It's the survival. It's the let's do it. But it's also about pleasure. It's about avoiding pain. For example, let's say that you are coming back home from a very stressful day, and then you are, what? I'm tired. I just want to relax. That's when your limbic system is going to take over and it's going to start trying to find pleasure. Again, this is not the lack of discipline. This is biology, just being biology. And this is why emotional spending is so common. Very common, I would say. And that is because when your emotional brain is activated, you are not really thinking ahead, the long term. You are just there for pleasure, for avoiding pain. And a lot of people feel even terrible after they buy something they don't really need. Even some people are even afraid of opening bills. It's that part of your brain, it's that part of your nervous system, is avoiding the fear, avoiding the loss, is the how do we feel right now. And talking about more on the investment side, this is exactly what triggers people cashing out of investments after they see their favorite stock dropping. Because they can't tolerate the risk. They can't tolerate, the potential loss. It's aversion. It's fear to keep losing money. What we have just explored matters, and it matters a lot, because this is why we make decisions that sometimes we regret. This is why we would rather do something about our investments right now. We have to learn how to delay gratification. That's one of the key important points, and that's how the prefrontal cortex can actually be one of your best friends. The prefrontal cortex is going to make you think in a more logical way and delay gratification for a longer and more prosperous financial situation. And I have more good news for you. We can train our prefrontal cortex. It's like going to the gym. It's like a workout. We just keep practicing, and then we keep strengthening that part of our brain. Hence, we can make financial decisions in a better way, in a progressive way. Again, the first step is awareness. Next up, we're going to talk about how the brain responds to shame, fear, and loss. So what happens when you know what you have to do? What happens when you are already aware, yet you don't do anything about it? Let's call it self-sabotage. The truth is that this has been explored in so many behavioral economics studies. And the feeling that you're gonna get when you are losing money, it's way more intense than the feeling of pleasure when you make money. In other words, losing $1,000 feels way more painful than making $1,000. That is connected to your amygdala. Your amygdala and your reaction towards loss aversion. As another example, think about a scenario where you don't know what to do. Let's say that you're having a picnic and then you see a snake, a colorful snake coming towards you. And instead of running, you just freeze. You don't know what to do. Is the panic taking over you? And it's kind of how it feels when someone doesn't want to lose money. Once they see their favorite stock, their favorite investment, or they are just not willing to risk anything. That's loss aversion. That's why a lot of people, they don't like investing. They look at the worst case scenario and they think I don't want to lose money. Why do I need to lose money? Why do I need to invest if maybe I'm going to lose? And this can go as deep as we want, right? Because we all are carrying emotional memories from a really long time ago, from beliefs in our family, how they behave, how they approach investment, saving, and financial decisions. All that exposure that we had since we were kids, it's today with us. But again, don't forget about that we can retrain our brains. That is the great news of today. We can change how those emotions in our limbic system were stored. I mean, we can't say how they were stored, but we can actually do something to modify how we action even when we are in contact with these emotions. Remember, all these memories that we have are stored in the limbic system, and they make us remember how we felt when we didn't have, maybe we didn't grow up in a wealthy family, and all these memories are stored in this system. That's why maybe spending money sometimes makes us feel that scarcity. But the good news again is that we can slowly change that with some activities that we can do on our daily basis. Self-sabotage is not random. It's kind of a protective mode. It's something that makes us feel safe. All these decisions have a consequence. So maybe today we feel safe, but maybe we are missing out on some potential returns, maybe very good returns. And that's because we are facing that fear of loss right now. We want to feel safe again right now, in the moment, not in the long term. Now, let's talk about how we can change that behavior. Well, there is a word that I want to introduce now, and it's called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the way on how neurons communicate and how they can kind of rewire the way you think about something, even if that something has been embedded in your brain for a really long time. And in just a moment, we are going to talk about how we can make small activities, how we can do something little that is going to keep moving and is gonna keep increasing to take us to where we want to be. Okay, so let's recap for a little bit. For now, we have talked that your financial decisions are not necessarily the lack of discipline or willpower. This is just biology. And it's very important to understand how these systems in our brains interact with us on a daily basis. And the breakthrough is that we can actually change those behaviors with building our neuroplasticity. What I'm trying to say is the patterns that you have in now, today, they are not fixed. You can actually change them. You can find new ways for your neurons to communicate and have a different approach, a different meaning towards that emotion or that feel of loss or scarcity or anything that is preventing you from making money. You can also train your brain to delay gratification, and you will stop making decisions that will make you feel good right now to make decisions that are going to make you feel great in a few years. So you can do this, right? And you gotta do it consistently and consciously. Those are the two key aspects for you to rewire your brain. So let's talk about some very easy things that you can do to start rewiring your brain. The first one is pause. Just pause for 3 seconds. Right before you buy something, right before you click, pause for 3 seconds and think about how do you feel about it. If you're about to click, pause again and think for another 3 seconds. And when you are pausing, ask yourself, how do I feel about this? Is this truly taking me to where I want to go? Is this aligned with my financial goals in 1 year, 3 years, 10 years? Is this aligned with my retirement plan? Maybe you don't have one yet. Well, it's time to start working on one. Another tool is the 3-minute daily review. After a long day, after a short day, every day, just before you go to bed, think about your day for 3 minutes, just 3 minutes. And think about your financial decisions. How much money did you spend? How did that make you feel? Was that aligned with your long-term goals or not? Just observe. Do not criticize. This is called metacognition. It's just the ability to reflect, to think about it. I don't want you to feel stressed because of one or two financial decisions that you made that were not necessarily aligned with your long-term goals. The very first step, my friend, is just observe. Be aware. And the last little thing that we can do to start improving our financial health is to make a financial action after we have something that we like. Let me put it in another example. Let's say that you are a coffee drinker, right? And you just enjoy having a cup of coffee in the morning. Well, when you are drinking your coffee, and just imagine, just follow with me. Just think about like a bright sunny morning when you are tasting a delicious cup of coffee that was freshly brewed. The aroma, the taste, the warmth, it's just fantastic. And you feel great. You are ready to go right there. Open your bank account and transfer 10, 20, $50 to a savings account, to an investment account. Do some financial decisions at the same time that you are doing that you truly enjoy. That's a very good and very effective way to start building new habits. Trust me, you're gonna like that one. That's it for today in TAOL Podcast. And I don't want you to feel bad or guilty about any of the financial decisions. Let's start with awareness. And let's think about our investment in this way. Stop thinking that you are saving for, like retiring or, having a decent lifestyle, the lifestyle that you want. Let's think about we are working towards reshaping our brain. We are becoming a different person, a person that is gonna make decisions on a daily basis, inspired by what we really want to become in life. And trust me, instead of just feeling inspired one day and not being consistent, if you take this approach on becoming someone new, you will see better and long-lasting effects. Thank you so much for being with us today in TAOL Podcast. I'm your host, Gabo, and I'll see you next time. Bye.